Greetings. We continue today in the third part of the opening of the fourth seal. Fourth, it says, by the wild beasts of the earth, which are called noisome beasts in Ezekiel 14:21. Now, the preposition used with this fourth means is different than the one that was used with the first three. But when it is used with the ablative case, as it is here, it does stress agency according to the standard text, Dana and Manti, page 112. Now, one would have to enter into the area of speculation to venture the meaning of this revelation. Whether it means a return to the first century of practice of throwing Christians to the lions and other wild beasts, or whether it refers to random vicious attacks by wild beasts, or whether to something else altogether cannot be definitively stated from the evidence in Scripture. However, the strongest case could be made for the return of the first century practices. In addition, the Medo-Persian king threw Daniel into the lion's den. Therefore, it would be no great thing for the Antichrist to revive this particular practice. And we must remember that this will be just one of the means used to carry out the authorized deaths. The opening of this fourth seal gives the authority to govern death, also referenced in Matthew 24:7 as pestilence. I trust you comprehend the authority granted in these first four seals to what we believe to be the chairman of the 10-member governing body, who will ultimately be revealed as the Antichrist, occurs almost immediately after the rapture. This is a necessity for him to be able to establish the 7-year-long peace treaty or covenant. Now, our form of government is Roman, as are most democracies and or republics in the world. We have a 3-branch system of checks and balances, in theory at least, maybe not in practice anymore. We have the executive branch, we have the legislative branch, and we have the judicial, all of which must be funded through economics. I think we previously mentioned the right to euthanasia on demand sounds great to many people. But what about someone else being given the right to demand that you be euthanized or put to death? It will become more and more apparent as we proceed through the book that economics become more and more prominent as the method of governing. Of course, depending on which side you hear and believe, one provision of the Healthcare Reform Act was to have a 17-member panel to review and make healthcare decisions. The executive function will be given to the ones governing these economics. Likewise, the legislative will become military and be given over, as well as the judicial function of government. One of the most obvious concerns is the simple fact that the majority of healthcare dollars for the average person occurs in the last 6 months of life. So routinely eliminating the last 6 months of life would equal great savings to the world population. Ultimately, the religious system will bow to this economic power. The political powers will also bow. Then Christ appears to crush the economic system and establish his kingdom. And in doing so, Jesus Christ, who is described as the stone cut out of the mountain without hands in Daniel 2:45, will grind this amalgamation of the ancient kingdoms to powder and scatter its chaff to the wind. The effects of this authoritative power's use begin to manifest itself in the next, that is the fifth seal. I want to conclude with the words of what was a popular song years ago and become enduring. It's entitled, I Wish We'd All Been Ready. And it speaks about these days when it says, life was filled with guns and wars, and everyone got trampled on the floor. I wish we'd all been ready. Children died, the days grew cold. A piece of bread would buy a bag of gold. I wish we'd all been ready. But there's no time to change your mind. The sun has come, and you've been left behind. A man and wife asleep in bed. She hears a noise and turns her head. He's gone. I wish we'd all been ready. Two men walking up a hill. One disappears and one's left standing still. I wish we'd all been ready. There's no time to change your mind. How could you have been so blind? The Father spoke. The demons dined. The Son has come, and you've been left behind. The question is, are you ready for the rapture? If not, then you need to get ready to face God's judgment. Jeremiah 12:5 declares, if thou hast run with the footmen, and they have wearied thee, then how canst thou contend with horses? This means, if the prelude to this unholy world government hinders your salvation and service, what will the charging forth of these four horsemen and their riders do as they bring the authority, the one upon earth, to do those things to those who need to be saved and are trying to serve God in this coming day of wrath? Well, the answer is very simple. They will make both many times harder than they are now, to say the least. Remember Revelation 1:3, where it says, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep, do, guard, obey those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand.